Simplest.io.
What's up, tube viewers? My name is Pax, and I'm back to react. And today, we got the Laws of Life podcast, where she sat down with the likes of the great Charleston White, and it looks like they're going to have an unconventional conversation for all intents and purposes. So we're going to go over here and see what they have to say. And of course, I'm going to leave my colorful commentary along the way. Once again, this is the Laws of Life podcast that we're going to tap into for the content. And if this is your first time to my channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, because we are on a mission. We're over halfway there, and we're almost to 1,000 subscribers with y'all's help, and I really appreciate everything y'all doing. It's been a long journey, so continue to stick with me, and let's get to it. All right, we're going to the content.
I ain't committing to nothing. I get free will. I ain't hurt nobody. I get free will. I don't want to commit to the mission. Everybody I see commit to the mission die early.
No. I'm not talking about the mission of a relationship. I'm talking about, I'm talking about your purpose.
I've been through. So I spent 12 years walking in purpose. Most people who walk in purpose is financially struggling. Man, fuck that purpose talk. Wake up and get you some money so you can take care of your kids. That's the only thing that matters to me.
What is your vision today?
Nothing. I'm in a strip club every night.
He's saying he gave up on his purpose because it wasn't getting him nowhere. The message was falling short. You know, I kind of saw his reaction. It was, you know, he reined it in quickly, but it seemed like that question was a little triggering for Charleston White, you know, because Charleston White did start off his journey as an advocate, as, you know, a community activist. And so he feels like his message may have fallen short. I don't know. That's my opinion, and that's just what I'm thinking and saying.
Yeah, I done had my vision. So when you was reading up on me, that was my vision. Now I'm reaping the fruits of my labor. I don't want that vision. I asked God, I don't want that vision.
But
God.
you've done a lot of positive
I don't
things
give a
in
shit.
your life.
Man, I fuck with hoes now. I don't want to do that no more.
Listen, you do whatever you want in your
So
free
this is what I'm
time.
saying. I asked God, God, I don't want this burden. Why do I have to care?
Okay.
Yeah, so man.
What about the nonprofit? Are you still doing
I let
that?
that go. No.
What about what you told me before we started the show?
You hear the tone in this woman's voice? She's confused. At this point, she is thrown off by Charleston White's behavior and what he's saying, because she wanted to believe that, you know, it was all a show and whatever he had going on. And now she seems to think that might not be the case.
The women that have had children.
I do that for the rapping niggas' mamas, for the victim's mama, but that ain't my purpose. So so listen, I left purpose alone to come store up a inheritance for your children's children.
Right.
My mama walked in purpose all these years. She's still walking in purpose. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do what Jesus and them did. I don't want to be a savior.
So you just want to do what you want.
I want to fuck with hoes like I'm doing. Put on jewelry and clothes, travel all around the country. I'm in a strip club every night with a different woman right now.
But you are happy.
Happy in a motherfucker. My kids,
you can afford it. You're not bothering anyone doing what you love.
No,
you're not breaking the law.
Except riding and smoking weed, but other than that, yeah, no.
You could get a legalized license.
I got a legalized license.
Okay.
And I keep getting caught with the weed and the gun.
Well, listen.
Beating it.
You've had a hard life.
No, I didn't.
You know, this conversation is a little tough for me to decipher, but I feel like I can decipher it for the most part. You know, this woman, she wants to see the best. She wants to believe in the best. You know, she's reached out for this interview, and, you know, she thought that Charleston White had a lot of things going on, and now he has, for some reason or another, for numerous reasons along the way, up until this point in the interview, been triggered, and now he is tastefully doing his best to troll her and be as offensive as he possibly can without overstepping the boundary. That's what I'm seeing.
Being in jail?
No, I
Wasn't
didn't go.
hard?
I didn't go to jail.
Well,
That-
juvenile
I
detention.
went to a boarding school. It was called
Right.
Giddings State Home and School. We had a Olympic-sized heated indoor pool. We
Okay.
had a game room, weight room, a gym, a football team, a basketball team, and we was co-ed with girls. We got weekend passes. We can go to college off campus. It was nothing like prison.
So, I mean, for context, you know, he was convicted of a crime or admitted guilt to a crime or something like that, and sent as a juvenile and sent to a juvenile institution. Most of the time, juvenile institutions are known as boarding schools or some type of school is in the name, or that is part of their curriculum. So I think that that's a little out of context, so to speak, because you know you went to a juvenile institution where you were remanded by that state and by the court to be placed in a juvenile institution. You know, there is protocol when dealing with juveniles in most states and probably every state across the country. So don't take what he's saying lightheartedly or out of context. You know, he again, I think that this is more aimed at this woman. He's trolling her, but that's just my opinion.
Well, it wasn't. See,
It wasn't, no.
I saw that.
So
you
you got to remember, this is 91. There was no such thing as putting a kid in prison because America hadn't saw kids who killed.
So basically, when you
Cap.
went to that school after being convicted and you
Adjudicated.
adjudicated,
Yeah.
you basically had a very pleasant experience
Yeah.
in the school.
I had fun in there.
You didn't have depression,
I-
anxiety.
Well, so you have it when it's new. Once it's not new anymore, it's like school. You find where to fit in at. I went and found somewhere to fit in, and I excelled at it. And within 2 years, I ran that campus.
Did you develop any sports interests?
Never been in sports. I developed how to control people. I honed my skills as a real shrewd leader. And so I became a gang leader. So I joined the gang after about 2 years because I was fascinated with it. The camaraderie I was fascinated with it because it was like on television.
Did it have a name?
Yeah, the ROLLIN 60 CRIPS. So I became real notorious. And I remember writing my mother. I found that was everything I was looking for. It's like joining the football team. I remember writing my mother. This is my first time ever talking back. And I did it in a letter. And I wrote it like I wrote another gang member. Crossed out the
That's absolutely ridiculous. That woman is appalled. You know, when she was shaking her head, she wasn't just shaking her head because, you know, she's, going along with what he's saying. She's deeply disturbed by what he just said and from a lot of the things that he's saying. And now he realizes that because of some of the tactics that he's using, that what he's doing and what he's saying is directed at her, but it's going over her head. And it's unfortunate because, again, they're having a conversation and they're keeping it civil. But I think that they stopped communicating with each other effectively along the way. For whatever reason, there became a trigger point, and he started to attack her. Again, this is just my opinion. This is what I think.
bees.
Was it the first time you ever felt included because of the gang?
I've always been included. I've always been treated special. So even around other kids disabled, I was elite because I was more mature because I had to be around grown folks. And I was taught one-on-one. So my mannerisms, I could cuss like grown people because children mimic what they, so I would be in the house just listening. And when I got around kids, I was more advanced because I've been sitting around grown folk listening. So I've always been included. It's just when it was time to go to surgery, I'm excluded.
If you could go back to the morning of the Foot Locker robbery, would you reverse it?
I was having too much fun.
What about
I wanted to kill somebody. So I wanted to be everything I saw on television.
you really wanted to kill someone?
Man, that wasn't the first time I got arrested. I was out. So I was on probation for shooting at some white man for calling me a nigger. So I'd already been shooting some guns. My mama and them just didn't know it. I was the leader of the pack. When I leave out my mama house, my little brain and I already planned the crimes. So the newspaper described me as the smallest and the youngest, but the brains out of the bunch. I just knew how to become manneral around grown people.
Did you?
All right, so we see here where Charleston White describes a period in his childhood or his adolescence where he was involved in an extremely horrific incident where someone lost their life. He seems to think that it's cute to point out the fact that the race of the person that's life was taken during the robbery, and that it is horrifying the person that is interviewing him. And again, I'm not trying to attack Charleston White. This is what I see. This is the way that I feel. And I feel that, you know, I have the expertise to be able to call it down the line as I see it. He also talked about being the leader of the Rollin 60s Crip gang, which was new to me. I had never heard that before, but it makes sense, you know. I mean, he's a leader, so it's no surprise to me that he would have led a faction of the Rollin 60s Crip gang. And, you know, however that turned out, again, I'm not familiar with that. Shout out to Charleston White for giving us this content. You know, my name is Pax, and I'm just here to spread these facts. Go out in the community, do something positive, shake a hand, meet a friend, inspire someone, or be inspired. Until next time, I'm out of here.